What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Show. My name's AJ Gels. How's it going, everybody? How's your week been? And I also hope you have a good upcoming week as we are on the weekly show's new day. It is Sunday, August 4th, I think it is. God damn, working nights is really weird because all my days start kind of running together, so I'm starting to forget like what day it is and what the date is. But either way, it's Sunday. Time for the weekly show. Yeah, it's the 4th. I had to look at my clock on my computer. Either way, it's time once more for the weekly show. If you're new to the program, we sit here, we read news articles. We got a video today, if you read in the title. Even though this week was really kind of thin on news, I actually, literally right before I recorded, I decided to pull out some of the smaller articles that I had really nothing to really say about. And decided we're going to watch about 25 minutes of Outer Worlds gameplay that went up on, I think it was PlayStation Underground. I'll be doing my usual pausing and commentating and whatnot on that. As always, down in the description below will be links to all the articles and the videos and timestamps, so if you want to skip around, you can do so. I think that's everything that I wanted to say about that. All my, my usual intro and whatnot. Last thing I do want to say before we hop into the actual news is just kind of a general channel update. If you follow my content beyond this show or just generally see it and wonder why I haven't been uploading a lot this past week, I put something out on Twitter last night before I went to work. Or before I went to sleep. I'm not entirely sure when I posted this now that I think about it. Either way, that doesn't matter. Basically, just work's been just kind of crazy for me as of late. When I started the new job, I was having like 3 days off, work 4 days, 3 days off, work 4 days. Now my schedule is becoming a lot more varied. It's changing from week to week. Like this past week, I had 3 days off, I've had 3 days off, but none of them were consecutive. I had Sunday. I had like Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday off. So, and then, so I spent half my off day sleeping because, I get home at 4 a.m. or so. So, everything's just been kind of weird. This upcoming week, I only have 2 days off. I have today and Thursday. So, I'm working 5 days instead of my usual 4. So, just because my schedule's just, pretty work heavy. Last week and now this week, that uploads again might be a little on the sparse side, and I apologize for that, but hey, it's how I get money to play all these games. So, what can you do? On to the actual news now, the stuff that people actually come here and actually give a shit about. Not my personal problems. Either way, first up we have just kind of a little bit more of a dry story before we hop into some actual news. But revealing the PS5 caused PS4 sales to come in below Sony's expectations. Article Eddie Makuch, August. Why am I reading the date that this article came out? Just kind of off the headline and just kind of skimming through this article. My impression here is. Well, no duh that announcing, hey, we have this next generation hardware coming out. Well, yeah, I think that's going to hurt your PS4 sales. I mean, really, we see a graph of, the sales. They're really not down. They're, how to put this? Saying that they've dropped or below expectations is true, but I don't think they're poor for given how far into the console generation we are. I mean, PlayStation 4 has sold incredibly well. I believe it's already in the top 10, if not the top 5 consoles of all times. I know it's within the top 10. I think it recently broke into the top 5, but don't quote me on that. So, I mean, of course, the PS4 it's still selling well, which honestly, I'm a little surprised of that it's still selling as well as it is. So, I mean, for it to come in below expectations, I guess isn't surprising. But I mean, as you can see here, this is the fiscal year, the colored bar. This is the cumulative unit sales and its annual sales for the PS4. So since 2013, it was rising, dropped. Yeah, it's been on a steady decline, but I don't think this decline is any steeper than it. Well, it's a little steeper than it has recently, but again. We're about 4 or 5 years into this console's life cycle. Of course, it's going to start dropping. So I'm not surprised here. It's basically what I'm trying to get at. Let's start the article here, though. While there's still plenty of life left in the current generation of game consoles, there's mounting excitement for next-gen consoles. I can't read. As part of the latest earnings report, Sony announces this week that PlayStation 4 shipments have climbed to a staggering 100 million life-to-date worldwide. And while that's a remarkable milestone, the recent trend hasn't been quite as positive. The 3.2 million PS4 systems that Sony shipped in the April to June quarter was slightly below the company's internal expectations. The reason for the downturn, according to Sony, the PlayStation 5. Sony said the lower than expected sales were primarily due to the company's announcement of its next generation console, tentatively known as the PS5. So PlayStation, I'm assuming, is just going to keep with the trend and just go PS5. I don't think they're going to do some weird naming scheme like Xbox has been doing. Just my opinion. Sony has yet to officially announce its next generation console, but PlayStation architect Mike Cerny, started talking about the console and some of its specs earlier this year. After that, Sony demonstrated the console's much faster loading times during a business meeting. It's yet to provide an official name or exact release date for the system. Another big feature that I think could also affect these sales is backwards compatibility. I know so many people who've tried to make the argument that backwards compatibility doesn't sell consoles, and I'm not saying it sells consoles, but it definitely is a selling point. If that makes sense. I don't think the feature alone is what moves a unit, but it definitely helps and could affect the PS4 sales, in all honesty, because say, like me, I already own a PS4. I was actually considering advancing to a PlayStation 4 Pro, but if all my PS4 games will work on my PS5, why would I upgrade my PS4? I'll just ride out the year and a half until the next PlayStation comes out, and then I'm going to play everything on my PS5 anyways, because that's backwards compatibility. Why would I play my PS4 for my PS4 games when I could just play them on my PS5? That's what I'm getting at here when I'm talking about backwards compatibility being a big feature. And again, I assume it's going to be everything. I'm not sure if they're going to do kind of like what Xbox has done, where it's only certain games are backwards compatible or what. But from what I've read and the way I understand it, they have just said backwards compatibility. Your PS4 software will work with your PlayStation 5. So I'm assuming, that also might play a factor into this. Now, how correct is that? I don't know. Because I'm not inside, everyone's head who decides or doesn't decide to buy a PlayStation 4. But I think that's a fair or a reasonable explanation or a reasonable factor in the declining sales. And again, I say declining like, oh my gosh, they're going into the toilet. They're really not that bad, if you ask me. It's a historical trend in the games business that console sales of an older system drop off to a degree when a new console is revealed. The thinking is that people hold off on buying consoles when they know a newer one is coming. That seems to be what's happening with PS4 sales. It's unclear if there are plans for a price cut or anything of the sort to help drive additional sales. As a result of the lower than expected PlayStation 4 sales, Sony said it has, quote, revised downward its forecast of PlayStation 4 sales during the current fiscal year ending March 2020. The company is cutting its projections by 1 million units from cutting its projections by 1 million units from 16 million to 15 million. 15 million is still a massive shipment number for a console so late into its life cycle. Sony said this ongoing success, quote, demonstrates that the PS4 platform is still garnering support from many users, end quote. Look, I've gotten into a few arguments with some people who love Xbox. Actually, my former boss, when I worked at my college radio station, he was not a fan of the PS4, loved his Xbox One. Granted, as I've always described it, he used it as more of a multimedia sort of platform. He watched TV, he watched TV and football through it, or he watched streams through it, he played music through it. So he kind of used it as a multimedia device, and I think that's where the Xbox really shined when you used it like that. But if you use it like I do, which is just for the games, I find the UI is extremely cluttered. Although I think they're coming out with a more a more toned down UI, something that makes that makes everything a lot cleaner and easier to use. But still, I found it clunky. I found the Xbox store way more difficult than the PlayStation store to use. I think the PlayStation 4 was just, there's a reason it was the dominant console, and I think it was just because the beauty was in its simplicity. It was just a machine to play games on. You know, they just made sure that it was as easy as possible to use. And then they just threw great exclusives on it. I think Sony and PlayStation have done such great work with the PlayStation 4. And I really hope that trend of, you know, you have a great year and then you do something weird and try and get too ambitious or get too, like I said, I kind of describe it as too far up your own ass. You know, kind of like, again, it's kind of like what I think Xbox did with the Xbox One. Xbox 360 did really well. Then they tried to do all this new stuff and, you know, we're trying to be too out there, and I think they lost a lot of people. I would argue the PlayStation 2 to the early days of the PlayStation 3. Yes, I know the PlayStation 3 really took off at the end of its life cycle, but still the early PlayStation 3 days when it was really expensive, when, you know, they were, I feel like they were trying to get too artistic with creating their console. I'm getting way off into a rabbit hole here, but no, I'm really hoping the PlayStation continues on with the simplicity and just the simplicity is things like the UI and its use for the gamers, because I think that was a big thing that really drew the PS4, at least to me. Sorry, let's see here. Sony's also projecting a downturn for game sales during the current fiscal year. The company is lowering its expectations to be a flat year-over-year instead of increasing due to the lower third-party game sales. Excuse me, jeez. Lower than expected revenue from free-to-play games was also called out. This may be in reference to Fortnite and other Battle Royale games that are slowing down when it comes to revenue. On the plus side, Sony said it expects its, quote, network services to generate more revenue in the current fiscal year. Overall, Sony said one of its major areas of focus during the fiscal year is on, quote, preparing for the launch of the next generation platform, and, quote, in addition to growing the user base the company already has. The PlayStation 5 is rumored to launch in holiday 2020, which is also when Microsoft's Project Scarlet next generation system is confirmed to release. So, really, I've said everything that I really have to say. God damn it, stop playing ads. Especially for that crap game. God, don't get me started on that new Wolfenstein game. No, I've said pretty much everything I have to say about this in the article. I think sales are down, but they're not terrible. It's to be expected with the PlayStation 5 coming out. It's like I said, especially with some of the features that we know are on the PlayStation 5. I stand by it. I think those are factors that we have to take into consideration. And I'm looking forward to the PS5. I think Sony can do it. I think that they can keep up this trend with the PlayStation 4. And yeah, like I said, I've said everything I need to. Let's move on. All right, guys, moving on. Yes, we had new news for Persona 5. There's a new Morgana Report or whatever stream coming out for this game, for the new upcoming Persona 5 The Royal, or Persona 5 Royal, whatever the hell the name is. Either way, of course I'm going to talk about it, because you know me, Persona 5 was my game of the year that year, and it should have won Game of the Year. I'm not going to lie. This article comes to us by way of Game Informer, by Blake. I'm going to go with Woog, but I could be completely incorrect on how that name is pronounced. All right, article reads, on Atlus's official YouTube channel this morning, Persona 5 Royal held a major live stream that covered a lot of new information about everything Persona 5, from gameplay updates to upcoming stage play based on the game. Oh, that's right, they are doing a stage play. No. The live stream aired it's like when they tried to do that Spider-Man musical and 2 people ended up crippled. Yeah, don't. I don't need this. The live stream aired a new Morgana report that revealed an entirely new character, a trailer for Goro Akechi, which we broke down here, and a stylish new trailer for the full game. The features heavy spoilers, so if you haven't played Persona 5, watch at your own risk. Now it's time to break down all the new information, and there is a lot. Most notable is the addition of a brand new character and a reworking of the way Mementos works, as fully demonstrated in Morgana Report number 4, which you can check out for yourself below, though it's in Japanese. Persona 5 Royal's newest face is a mysterious young boy named... I'm going with Jose. Jose has... Or Joe... It's probably Jose. Yeah, it's probably Jose, actually, except that sounds... I'm trying to think, why is Jose in a Japanese game, but no, Jose, now that I say it, with the Japanese pronunciation, that sounds more correct. I'm not sure. Either way, Jose has the appearance of a child, but clearly has some sort of power and is connected to Mementos in some way. There are new, quote, stamp pads throughout Mementos, and if you collect the stamps and bring them to Jose, he can change the perception of Mementos to provide different effects. Using Jose, Mementos can provide extra experience, money, or items after battle. Jose is also likely tied to the new white version of Mementos features in previous trailers. New enemy mechanics and new mission structures are also coming to Mementos. Pitch black areas and spaces with stronger enemies will now randomly appear in Mementos, and missions given to you by the fan site will now also require enemy negotiation instead of basic battle. See, that's interesting. I mean, not much I really have to say about just Jose, and I mean, it's interesting that he'll change up how Mementos works and everything. I'm curious what the in-game explanation to that's going to be, because Mementos is technically the creation of how mass perception of the world is viewed, something like that. Persona 5, when they really go into the whole perception thing, gets a little confusing at times. Either way, I think they could do some really cool stuff with that. I mean, honestly, I found Persona 5 to be a very visually appealing game. I love their art style and the way that they did everything. But I like this idea of how they're changing the fan site requests. Also, no, everything that I'm talking about here, I'm speaking to you guys like you have a knowledge of how Persona 5 works. I gotta do a Persona 5, like, once I actually dig into all this crap that I've started and haven't finished, which I will get to sometime. I do really, at some point, want to do a Persona 5 Let's Play. I really want to. It would be so much fun with you guys, because I love this game so much. Totally lost my train of thought there. I'm talking about the missions we pick up on the fan site. No, I really like the fact that we actually will require some negotiation, and something that's a little bit more than just, okay, find the boss, beat the mini-boss, move on. It's not bad, but because all of them have like little stories, but at the end of the day, they really don't matter. You get like little unique items and everything. I think it's cool. Let's see here. Jose is also tied to the new items featured in each of the palaces. Collecting these unique items and bringing them to Jose will net you a powerful accessory. They did something similar to that in Persona 4 Golden. After you clear somebody's area in oh my god, what in the Midnight Channel. There we go. Once you clear out somebody's area, you can go back, redo the dungeon, and at the top of it there will be a there will be like a powerful shadow that then if you take out, you'll get you'd get like a special weapon or something like that. So again, I think that they're kind of reusing a mechanic that really worked for Persona 4 Golden. Oh no, or was that in? I think that was in the original Persona 4 as well, now that I think about it. I haven't played the original Persona 4 in a long time. I need to bust out my PS2, now that I think about it. Sorry, I keep hopping from one topic to topic really quickly. But no, I'm really curious to see how Jose is going to really affect how Mementos works, or if, for the most part, it's still going to be your grinding level up dungeon, but I don't know. I'm also really curious. Is it going to, or are they even going to completely change how Mementos is introduced because of this character? Is Morgana still going to take you in there? Still go, well, Mementos is basically how everyone's perception has kind of grown together and blended to create this dungeon, this almost seemingly never-ending dungeon, while the palaces are created through one single individual's twisted perception. Again, the whole idea of perception that the game deals with is really interesting, as compared to like the Midnight Channel and the Dark Hour from 4 and 3, respectively. But yeah, like I said, I this isn't a massive how to put it. For me, this isn't a massive change that really affects anything. I mean, I'm still really curious of how, the new companion character is going to work and how the new Goro Akechi stuff is going to work. Because if I remember correctly, they're adding almost a full semester to Royal, that a lot of it is going to actually focus more on the character of Goro Akechi. He's going to be less of that kind of like antagonist in the background, which, when he performs that heel turn late in the game, oh, holy crap, it's a big surprise. I guess I should say spoilers, but the game's a couple years old by now. Either way, excuse me. So I'm really curious on how they're going to use Akechi and make him a more integral part of the story throughout the game. But either way, again, I'm getting off base here. Outside of Mementos and Josei, information was supplied about the newest explorable location, Kichijoji. Kichijoji is going to be the largest explorable location outside of the game's palaces, featuring a number of new shops and stops shown in the live stream. Kichijoji, God, that's really hard to say, will feature a dumpling stall, clothing store, incense shop, shrine, bar, and a jazz club. The bar has games you can play with play with friends, including billiards and darts. I'm really hoping that that's like they're gonna like put in a darts and billiards minigame. I highly doubt it, but I really hope that happens. It was revealed during the stream that darts will require motion controls. Oh, sweet. And it was not shown whether or not this is optional. We hope it's optional. Well, yeah, I guess I as far as the motion controls go, yeah, I hope the motion control part is optional, but I really like the fact that there's going to be an actual mini game. It's not going to be, hey, go here, play darts. Or go here, tell them to play darts. You'll get like a little scene of them throwing darts at a dartboard, and then, you'll get, oh, you got +1 to this, you got +1. Like, no, I actually want to actually play darts with the friends. Kind of like when you go to the gym, I actually want like a little mini game to see, like what the growth from the gym is. Kind of like when you're playing video games in the game. That really made my brain hurt for a second. But yeah, I'm again, Kichijoji isn't a massive change to the game, at least for me. Again, it's just a new explorable area with new mini games and new like little stuff new ways to spend your time. But again, I guess it's one of those that on its own isn't too terribly important, but I guess in the larger context, this Persona is kind of a game made of like small features that aren't super important on their own, but when you look at them within the wider context of Persona, you just completely get lost in it. I guess that's what's so cool about it. I'm sorry. I love Persona so much. Let's see here. Ryuji's Confidant ability, which allows players to instantly kill enemies, has been reworked. Now it only activates if you approach an enemy with a dash. The ability will also now grant players experience and money upon insta-kills. The DLC for Persona 5 is where things get a little complicated. Producers had this to say in an FAQ, quote, due to commercial reasons, you will be able to continue using the downloadable content purchased for Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal by repurchasing the content at one content for 10 yen. This applies to both PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 versions, downloadable content, end quote. I'm not sure what that's going to be for American players. Mostly for pricing, but I'm assuming they're going to do something, similar on the that side. But I mean, at the end of the day, that stuff is it's costumes and items. There was no, as far as I know, there was no actual like add-on expansions or anything. Which is honestly how I thought they were going to do this and not relaunch Persona 5. I thought they were going to drop expansions. But I mean, for the fact that I find it amazing that they're just completely reworking the game and launching just a new title. Again, Atlus somehow finds a way to one-up themselves every time. It astounds me. Clearly a lot of new stuff is coming to Persona 5 Royal, and much of it addresses fan concerns. For more on Persona 5 Royal, check out its incoming music updates and some new trailers. Persona 5 Royal still has no set Western date outside of the 2020 window. Yeah, again, I'm liking what I'm hearing. Again, it seems like everything we're finding out is going to be are small changes, but at the same time, it's because I don't think we're going to hear about the bigger changes being the story or anything. I don't, they like to kind of stay tight-lipped with a lot of that stuff until, they'll give us the broad strokes, but they're going to stay tight-lipped about it until we see the game in, next year. So, that's all I got on this one, so let's move on and talk some Outer Worlds. All right, guys, on to our next article. The Outer Worlds makes even being a failed pig murderer fun. Article Rachel Weber of Games Radar. I mean, come on. Of course, given the title of this article, we're talking about this. I just kind of, let's hop into this. Basically, what I was about to say was, honestly, with this developer being the people behind Fallout New Vegas, I am extremely excited to see what Obsidian is going to do with the Outer Worlds, and I can't freaking wait. So let's just hop into this and screw my ranting. I want you to know I had every intention of poisoning the tumor-ridden pigs in the Outer Worlds. I'd snuck into the local meat factory using a disguise that made me look like a guard and inched around to the control panel for the feeding system, but curses, I didn't have the medicine skills needed to mess with the vitamin A doses. So I had to turn to the RPG player's last resort, slaughtering absolutely everyone in the building to complete my objective. It's about right. This is just one of the weird dystopian, slightly tongue-in-cheek missions you'll be faced with in Obsidian's The Outer Worlds. Its Fallout roots, the game's creators have Fallout 2 and Fallout New Vegas on their resumes, can be felt throughout the design, but the universe feels sharper, wittier, and just a bit weirder. Well, I think that's because they get to design, how to put this, they get to design their own world in this one. They don't have to play with another property. Like with Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas, they already had the frameworks of the worlds set up. I mean, they kind of created their own thing within those worlds, but still, the world as itself had its lore, had its, had the typical things already set up, again, it had the framework of the world already built around it. With this game, they can kind of do their own thing, so they can write it in a way that really makes sense and play to the team's strengths. So again, I'd say, of course, or I'd be surprised if it didn't feel like they said sharper, wittier, and weirder. Quote, the focus of our dystopia is corporate control, says Carrie Patel, senior narrative designer. And the dark humor is really important. We want the experience to be fun, and we want players to find things they can enjoy and laugh at, and not just be depressed at the state of the world, end quote. Back to the mission of local boss lady Catherine Mullen. To win her approval, I need to take out Clive Lumberg. That's a U, not an I. Some of these fonts, I don't know why I can't read. The Borst King of Monarch. His, cystipigs? I don't know, grow bacon-flavored tumors. Oh, okay. Which can then be harvested and sold. It was up to me how I dealt with the problem, but Mullen dropped some hints about sabotaging the factory by poisoning the cystipigs, messing with the financial records, or breaking the canning machinery. I'm usually a, quote, smash them to meat paste kind of mercenary, but I was interested to see how else I could play this one out. We'd been dropped into the game a few hours. We'd been dropped into the game a few hours in, and with cookie-cutter generalist characters, so by the time I get back there in October, I might have the skills I need to cruelly assassinate the little oinkers. God, this is well written. And I mean that in all seriousness. I assess swines. I read a couple lines later. God, I like writers who aren't afraid to put in some jokes. But even this time around, I didn't mind not being able to go assess Swine's creed on the situation, as the Outer World shooting is just as fun as its brainier stuff. The mission is one of the main quests, and I'd seen it played out differently by the developers at E3 2019, so I knew the, quote, choose-your-own-adventure spiel wasn't just talk. Even if you're a psychopath, quote, if you run around murdering everybody, you won't be entirely lost, promises Patel. We've got a lot of internal experience with that kind of openness and the style of choice for stuff that's a part of the critical path and the really key to the story. We do provide additional fail-safes, end quote. See, she mentions, what was it? The sort of, if you run around murdering everybody, you won't be completely lost. That was an article a couple weeks ago. That I was busy, and it just didn't have time or whatever to to really talk about. But I think that's an important thing to talk about with Obsidian games, and it's something that I don't think you see a lot with these types of games. I think Obsidian is really going to give you the openness to do whatever the hell you want in their game and still have it work. You know, I think you're going to have to really work your ass off to break this game, like you would, and I don't want to, I don't want to throw cheap shots at Bethesda, but like a Bethesda game. No, I really think that they have some great talent with this studio. And no, I'm really interested to see what these failsafes are, how this is going to work, and it actually kind of makes me want to do a run where I'm just going around just shooting everyone in the face. The real joy, though, was exploring the world myself. A simple conversation with Nelson Mason, a fellow sporting a bowler hat and an ostentatiously lustrous mustache. Can't read some of these words for some reason, turned into a quest that had me hunting for vermin like sprats in a cave and getting wrist deep in feces at a makeshift animal rescue. A chat with one of my two companions meant heading off to find the graves of some of her friends and preparing to face a giant bug called a mantiqueen that was just in the town of Fallbrook 2, and there's a whole wilderness of lore and quest to explore and a spaceship that we were expressly told not to head to that could take you out into the universe. Okay, so far from just what they're talking about right here, this sounds like a Fallout game mixed with the comedy of Fable mixed with a BioWare game. It's kind of like the open world of a holy crap, openness of kind of like a Fallout or a Skyrim. Fallout or Elder Scrolls, to actually use the franchise's names. I don't know why that was so hard for me. But, it's kind of got like the openness of those games, the comedy of a Fable, with the companions and kind of like central hub stuff of a BioWare game. This is kind of how it sounded. Like they're taking the good elements of a lot of these games and throwing them together. I'm super curious to see how all of this is going to work out. The companions were the real surprise of the demo. I had two, Badass Nyoka and the more introverted Parvati. I think, yeah, okay. I read that correctly. And I kind of fell in love with both of them. It's the fact that they interact not just with you, but the people you chat to along the way, making them feel like more than just another bit of equipment hanging out in your inventory. They're snarky, indignant, and even a little disappointed at times. They're also totally optional. Quote, I think this game... God damn it. Quote, I think for a game like this, we do have to recognize that some players will choose to play solo, says Patel. Either they like the achievement, or they like the playstyle, or they're just focused on the pure mechanical challenge. But for everyone else, looking for ways to build them into the world and the player's story, but also give them a life outside the player. They have their own objectives, their own goals, and they also have relationships with each other that you'll see as you run around the world and hear them banter with each other or hanging out on your ship talking to each other, end quote. I still have a lingering sense of guilt. I had to leave the demo before I finished the search for Nyoka's lost friend. The few hours I spent in the game just weren't enough. Damn it, playing a demo of the Outer Worlds is like trying to dance in someone else's shoes. Sure, you're feeling the beat and enjoying the party, but there's no escaping the fact that you wouldn't have chosen bright yellow suede loafers a size too small. The last time I felt like that, playing a demo for Skyrim for the first time. I can't wait to get lost in the Outer Worlds on my own terms and with my own renegade but ultimately charming and well-intentioned firearms expert. I think the best way I could put that is, again, this game takes the openness of a Bethesda game, the comedy of a Fable, and throws it together with sort of the companions and hub sort of mechanics, and I'm kind of guessing on that third one from just the way everything's sounding, of a BioWare game. I'm really curious to see how the open world, worlds is going to handle, and I'm really interested in this game. When's this game launch? Again, I'm not 100% sure, actually, when the Outer Worlds launches. But, actually, we are going to look at some the Outer Worlds gameplay next. So, in between now, while I'm moving over to the video, I'll actually check the release date for it. All right, I checked the release date for this game. It's late October. I already forgot the exact release date, but it's like October 20th, something around there. So yeah, still a couple months out from this game, but still, I mean, we got plenty to do in the meantime. But either way, let's actually take a look at this gameplay. This is on PlayStation Underground.
Oh, I'm just so itching.
There we go. There will be commentary. All right, time to turn down my my headset. Jesus Christ, that was loud.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of PlayStation Underground. You got Tim and Kristen here.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm joined by Brian Hines, senior designer of The Outer Worlds, and Matt Singh, producer of The Outer Worlds.
Okay, just off the bat, I mean, again, it's like I say, like I can kind of see. I don't want to say the Bethesda influences, but again, I see just in the visual appeal, it kind of looks like a Fallout in space. You know what I'm getting at? It's kind of grimy, but at the same time, it looks. I don't know how to describe it. If you were just showing me this screenshot, I'd honestly say, to me, it looks like a Bethesda game. But again, just taking a few looks, down here, we've got our what is it? Our ammo count and everything. Our I'm gonna guess items of some sort, health, everything up there, and a compass. But no, I mean, just taking a look at this opening, just a couple seconds of what we've seen. Again, the visual aesthetic, I think, is it's very Bethesda-esque, which shouldn't be surprising. But still, I really like it. I really do like the look.
From Obsidian here, and we're going to be checking out a new mission into the game. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. This is a beautiful view to walk into. Edgewater.
Under the beautiful stars in the night sky. So we're still in the first hour of the game. Can you guys give us a little bit of insight into, what Edgewater's all about and where we are at in the game?
Yeah, definitely. So Edgewater is it's the first town you come to in the game. It's in an area of the main planet in the Halcyon colony, which is where this game is set. It's a region called Emerald Vale, and Edgewater is like a corporate town run by the Spacer's Choice company, which as you're walking around, you're seeing a ton of the Spacer's Choice branding.
Yeah.
And people you're going to talk to are going to mention Spacer's Choice
Part
and
of the
corporate
Spacer's
logos.
Choice family, of course.
Exactly. So basically, this is a town that's kind of fallen on a bit of hard times, and you're here. Basically, when you reach this point, you were recently brought out of hibernation by a rogue scientist, someone who's wanted by the corporate board, which runs the colony, and he's asking you for help to revive your fellow colonists who were on the Hope colony ship, and he basically sent you to meet a smuggler who you landed on top of rather than helping out.
Yeah, squash.
Mistakes were made.
That's
yes,
right.
Yeah.
And now we're after a power rig.
All right, because I hate kind of stopping in the middle of their sentences. I was trying to find a good place to kind of pause. No, as we're walking through this game, again, I like how they're going for this sort of futuristic, like space vibe, but at the same time, kind of looking at it, I'm almost getting an Old West sort of town kind of feeling to it. It feels like they're mixing the past with the future in different ways. It's kind of this in a way, just because I know a lot of this game, the themes, we even read in that past article, really has to do a lot with corporate control and everything. It's almost, like these towns, they're mentioning it's fallen on hard times. It's all this, these people who are going to be fighting against these corporations and everything that run everything. To me, it kind of reminds me of those old factory towns. They were prevalent in the U.S. From what I remember of history class, which is not a whole hell of a lot because I didn't pay attention in school like I probably should have. But either way, it reminds me of those old factory towns that basically, you almost got paid in vouchers for the company store. So you work for the company and then you have the company store. So you're always kind of in debt to the company. It's one of those things. That's what these towns kind of remind me of. It's kind of taken me seeing it in person to finally kind of draw that connection. Again, I think there's going to be some. there's going to be some social commentary definitely on the way that, like, even though we're not in that kind of more direct connection to those, that sort of, like I said, like always kind of in debt to the company. Like I said, you work there, you got the company store, you know, you work off, you know, debt and everything with the company. It's kind of like a weird indentured servitude sort of to these companies, like how that stuff used to work. While we aren't in that place nowadays, still our lives are very heavily tied to corporations and everything. So I'm gonna guess that there's going to be a whole hell of a lot of social commentary in this. Excuse me. I'm hoping though that they're gonna keep it not necessarily subtle, but they're gonna let the story and everything shine through. I'm pretty sure they're going to do it that way, but I just don't want to keep being hammered by a social message to the point where it's just, okay, I get it, leave me alone, just let me shoot things in the face. But again, given the comedy and some of the other stuff that I think that we've already seen, that we can mostly assume that's not going to be the case. I don't know. It was just a fear just kind of popped in my mind there.
Regulator specifically trying to bring a ship back online.
Right.
Which is exciting. And then for some insight into, I got a chance to build my character here, Mina. She is sort of a charming idiot who is very good at stealth, and went heavy in the sort of charisma so that we can get some. I love having different dialogue options available. So.
Yes.
Mr. Thompson, sir, you asked why it's taking so long to fix the...
Seems we've got a guest.
Hello.
Oh.
Really now, Parvati, I do wish you'd spoken up. I do apologize. I was given no forewarning of your arrival, or I might have welcomed you at the gates myself.
I'm sorry.
Oh, so polite.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, like one huge thing about the Outer Worlds that I'm excited about is just the branching dialogue and all the different options here. And so I've been playing it when I have dumb options, I usually go for it. But first of all, I'll find out what Reed's all about here.
I'm Reed Thompson, outposted minister.
Ah, God, the silent protagonist. God damn it. You know how much I hate that. Oh, wow. At least we get to pick our dialogue option.
Pants, work boots, company-approved colors. The,
Company approved
Honorable
colors.
Exactly.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
We got branding to worry about. Yeah, I just want the power regulator, bud.
Only regulator we got is hooked up to the town transformer. Mr. Thompson ain't
Hope you
liable
don't
to
mind
be
if I
keen
take
on
that.
dismantling it.
Yeah.
I
like
beg
her
your
look.
pardon. I am most emphatically not keen on any such thing. I can't let you have our power regulator. But I happen to know of another one. And I happen to know exactly how you may retrieve it without
He
frying
seems so
yourself in the
trustworthy. I'm into
I
it.
mean, absolutely.
Yeah. The suit really screams
What a man
trust.
in a bowler hat lie to you, Tim.
I have a bad experience with that. Yeah. All right. Let's hear it.
There's a power regulator in the old botanical lab. It's mostly abandoned, so all that power is being squandered. Go down to the geothermal plant. Reroute power from the botanical district over to us. Once their power's shut down, you can have their regulator.
I had a feeling
and
this
be
would
alone
benefit
on
him
your
in
way.
some way.
What? What do you say?
Yeah.
Mostly abandoned.
I was not entirely sure how to tell you this. The botanical labs are not legally inhabited,
Here it
but
is.
there are people who live there.
All right.
What a surprise.
Yeah. We saw that coming. Yeah. It's, oh, wait. Are they marauders?
Marauders aren't people.
Yeah. I don't think people are going to like that. Let's see what he says
No,
say about
I
that.
do not imagine they will be pleased. But like a parent disciplining an unruly child, you will be doing them a kindness.
Oh, okay.
The people living
Feel
in
good
the
about
botanical
yourself.
Yeah, I will.
They're deserters.
I love when the dialogue
Former
options, though,
workers.
really allow
Meet
you to
them back
lean
at
into
their
a different
posts.
character. Like,
I
do I
need
do
them
I care about
to
these
come
people? Am I
home.
going to advocate for them, or I'm just like, let me take their power? I don't care.
Yep.
Like they were saying, I do like that aspect that you can kind of design your character's personality around that stuff. But at the same time, I like how there are some options that you can just be a sarcastic son of a bitch for no reason. I love playing that way. When I play like Fallout or whatever, you know, I love to be that, like, kind of like a mercenary with a hair trigger who's just gonna spout one-liners the entire time. I love that. There's no point to those dialogue options because, you know, it just makes people mad, but I love it. And again, I love that they're giving me that option to play that way.
Be the villain if I want to be.
Tell me what
My
I need
hope
to do,
is that
Reed.
by cutting off their power, you will convince those deserters to come back to town.
Okay.
Before you go to the plant, I want you to stop by the botanical lab. Speak to their leader, Adelaide. Tell
I love
her
the
the power's
names of
about to
this.
go. And that
Pavarti
it's
and
time
Reed
her
and
band of
Adelaide.
deserters came back to town.
All right.
My dad told me all about the plant. Taught me all he knew. I could come in useful.
Ooh.
I
Help.
mean, if that's all right with you, Mr. Thompson. Sir.
I hesitate to part ways with Miss Holcomb, but I cannot deny that she is talented.
Trying to really
Ooh,
appraise this
man.
dynamic
Make
here.
her useful.
I was gonna say, is this a companion option?
You will need an administrative passcode in order to enter the plant. I am trusting you with mine, and trusting Miss Holcomb to guide you if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it.
Great! I got my wrenches and diagnosticators and hairpins and engine tape, so I'm all set.
Hairpins. All right, lockpicking confirmed.
Hairpins
Best of
are
luck.
essential to
And
this
thank you again
operation.
for your help. It is a lot to ask of a stranger, I know.
Okay.
So yeah, you got a new companion.
Excellent.
Yay.
Okay. Let's. I always like reading these things just because I get the more. Here's what the game says these guys are for, instead of having somebody describe it to me. So, all right, the character that joins you in the adventures help a variety of ways. Companions provide combat skills, enhance your skills. They increase carrying capacity. That's interesting. You can also unlock special companion combat abilities with the inspiration skill. Learn more about them. Okay. See, that's something I didn't know, that they give you a carrying capacity boost.
Okay, so we're looking at like
Yeah, one of the things you'll
Combat
notice
support,
is
okay.
that they'll even like help you out in conversations as well. So like they'll actually add to your scores.
Add a little bit of insight.
Yeah.
carrying capacity. They can carry all my goodies for me. That's great. All right, Pavardi, here we go.
Wasn't that something you could use in Skyrim? You could just have a companion follow you and just have them carry all your crappy swords.
Thank you.
Have them be your like walking armory.
So we're heading out of town.
Yeah, the Emerald Vale region. Okay, so this is a different route from where we entered the
Right.
Edgewater. So
Yeah, this is the other side of town.
yeah,
Just a casual volcano on the side over
yeah.
there.
Just check it out. Just chilling in the distance.
Really, you're not going to comment on the Dr. Seuss plants that you were walking right in front of?
For these environments, like, did you guys draw inspiration from stuff? Was it just like coming out of your head of like, and I want a volcano in the back?
Well, the volcano came from like one of the aspects of this quest is we're being asked to go to the geothermal plant, so we're looking for like a good visual indicator of geothermal power. And I mean, who doesn't love a volcano? It's like a great visual draw.
Check
Yeah,
out some
our,
combat here.
Yeah, these are the Marauders, who are. You learn a bit more as you go through the quest and a little bit about who the Marauders are, but the most important thing to know about them is that they're unemployed, which is
Okay, got it.
The worst thing you could be.
exactly.
What that prompt was just
Real quick, they just kind of skipped over that real quick. The whole thing of how companion abilities work, how left is ability 1, right is ability 2. I like that they're keeping it nice and simple. They're not trying to get like too out there with it, because I think some games that try and do stuff like this try and make things a little too complicated, especially when you're like in the heat of things. So I like the simplistic approach to that. I also like the whole thing, when he was pulling out that club again, you see him pull it out, extend it, and it's just a nice little visual.
showing you is because you actually have put some points into your leadership abilities, you can now actually have special abilities for your companions as well.
Okay.
And so you can use those in combat. Once we get into some other ones, you might be able to see what Parvati can do for you.
Yeah, it looks like it's on the left and right buttons on the directional pad.
Yeah, so those are the abilities. Right now you've got one on the left.
You're being spotted there.
Oh, thank you. Oh, man. Oh, we got company. Okay, I'll try.
I'm gonna pull something back here. That's interesting. See, I'm not sure if that's a thing of this bullet time ability or whatever this is, or if or if this is just, if while you're stealthing, if you just scroll over somebody, you can analyze them, so you can see their total health points, their armor, their faction, the analysis of them. A ranged attacker wears light armor, uses handguns. See, that's interesting to me. The ability to actually kind of analyze your people you're fighting with and all that. What the hell was that?
Get some better cover.
And that was our medical inhaler you just used.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I love the
Marauder
animation
goon.
there. Okay, so That's a heavy there. Let me see what we can do here about this. I got a little bit more.
Yeah, you might want to use that
So
tactical
what is
time
this
dilation.
mechanic that Tim is using that sort of stops time or slows it down briefly?
So that's what we call our tactical time dilation system. Basically,
Oh,
because you were in basically hibernation for 70 years, you've got a little bit of brain damage.
Oh, just a casual.
Just tiny
bit of brain
amount.
damage.
The benefit though is you basically can slow down your perception of time, which in combat allows you to like aim,
Focus in.
really focus in on enemies, like learn their strengths and weaknesses, and
Nice.
give you some benefits. So it's the
Oh, and I see it drains that purple meter up in the top left.
Yeah. It's like when you're just standing still, it drains fairly slowly, but as you're moving and attacking, it drains quickly. So.
Nice.
And based on
Okay, so it's this game's version of VATS. We knew there was going to be a similar system, but that's interesting. It drains at different rates depending on what exactly you're doing. So that also explains why. So it's not just scroll over somebody. You've got to be in this mode to analyze something. It's an interesting way of approaching it. He kind of gave the base idea there, but I'm a little more here. I want to see how the story explains it. There we go. In full context, not just have that little quick explanation.
how you
There we go.
customize your character by putting points into the right skills, purchasing the right perks, you can actually increase how long that meter lasts in combat.
Nice.
There we
So
go.
it's something you could really lean into if you
Yes.
want.
Yeah, and I think
Just lean into that brain damage.
I absolutely need to. Well, I mean, maybe not in real life, but yeah. But I absolutely love being able to slow time there and target like that. Like, I will go all in on that.
So you notice Parvati is actually low health, so you can. But when you heal, it heals her as well.
Oh, okay. We share.
Oh, using the
So she has a
using the bushes.
40 on the left D-pad, it looks like. So if I target,
Whoa.
there we
Oh, that was
go.
dope.
Yeah, get it, girl.
Wow.
She'll
All right.
get in there.
Oh.
Not a stealth ability
her.
apparently, but
Oh, did she go down?
Yeah.
No.
She was still at low health when you sent her in.
Oh, shoot. Can I revive her? We'll find out. What?
She will revive at the end of
Oh,
combat.
combat? Okay, gotcha.
Unless you're playing on our highest difficulty mode, at that point she'd be gone
That's
forever.
just it.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
no.
Those are some stakes.
Do you guys have a fun name for your hard mode?
Supernova.
Nice.
That's a great
I always
name.
love hearing the different names for them.
Yes.
Oh, you're doing good, Tim.
Thank you,
You got
thank you.
this.
I need all the positive encouragement I can
I
get.
believe in you.
You.
Take out that hooligan.
All the goons and hooligans gotta go. All right.
Get
There we
outta
go.
Here.
All right. Is she back? Is she with
Parvati,
me?
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Let's heal.
She's like, it's all good.
So she got a little bit from that.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, based on how you put points into various skills, she'll get more.
Okay. Great.
Are you able to like pass something on to her so that she could heal herself, or?
She will heal naturally outside of combat. It just takes a little bit longer.
Got it.
But again, as you like, one of the archetypes for the game is like the leadership.
sorry to keep pausing on this. I want to see
It just takes a little
so
bit
can you
longer.
use that healing inhaler or whatever
Yeah,
just
as
as
you-
much as you want? Really?
One of the archetypes for the game is like the leadership route, which is where you're putting points more into improving your companions
Got it.
rather than into yourself. As you do that, it will improve how much health they get back as you heal.
Nice.
Let's see what Adelaide has to say. Hello. This is pretty. Wow.
Tim, great job on focusing on the main
Thank
course
you.
here, because I very much would have been like, right.
I'm with him. I love the
Like
environments in this game. It's
everything
super
in the-
cool.
to not just oh, what's
Yeah,
this over
I
here?
am. I am the worst when it comes to RPGs. Of like, I'll try so hard to stay to the main quest,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, ooh, shiny thing, ooh, a new conversation.
Well, our entire job is designing those shiny things. too.
Bear an illness, find
It's
a
all
place to
worth
lay your head
exploring.
down,
Yes.
and I'll fetch you a poultice.
Oh, she's so
Whatever
friendly.
your troubles with Edgewater, leave them at the gates and be welcomed here.
Oh,
Any
Oh shoot!
questions, dear?
I can't just take their power. Now I like them more.
ruh-roh.
No,
There's a dumb
dumb is an option.
Oh well. What's that smell? Yep.
That'd be the garden, dear.
Oh, I suppose you might not be used to it.
Also fertilizer, so mind your boots.
Excuse me, Miss McDevitt? Sorry, it's just... You got such pretty trees in here.
Why, thank you. You're Robert's girl, aren't you? I remember when you were but a sprout.
Aw.
Thomas speaks of you often. Are you staying long? You should try some of my tobacco tea.
Tobacco corn?
I brew it in an old spittoon, but it's been cleaned.
Tobacco.
Thanks.
Is this like
I
this
gotta
this
say I'm
game
impressed
world's
by it.
version of
Between, like,
Tobacco
goofiness
from
back to, like,
Simpsons?
something pretty heartfelt is
Yeah.
like, it's amazing it's not more jarring. You'd think it would be
Yeah.
jarring, but it just works
It's
so well.
seamless.
Yeah. I'm gonna drop Reed's name.
See, I think that comes from I think we saw similar stuff in Fallout. I think the reason that stuff works is because these worlds are built to be a little goofy. So if everything's a little goofy, that goofiness becomes kind of your base, your normal. So you can go from that sort of heartfelt moment to goofiness, kind of, and kind of slip back and forth. I just it works for games like these entirely based on their setup, and again, it all comes down to the writing.
Here and see what she says.
Reed Thompson.
Ruh-roh.
You here on behalf of that cold-eyed reptile?
She doesn't like me as much
Let's
now.
hear it. What's Reed's idea of peace, then?
Come back to the cannery. That's about it. To the point. But I could try to
The
massage
last
this.
option.
I know.
I wasn't really listening.
Man, it's like I would never make this choice in my main playthrough probably, so I'm just gonna go for it.
Absolutely.
I can't say I blame you. Reed is positively soporific.
Oh, okay, that's on brand for him.
Like everything else that comes out of Edgewater, that peace offering is canned.
Oh,
We're on my own,
she's
or
been
we'll
working on
just
that one
find
for a
out
while.
by ourselves.
I'm just gonna tell her the whole
You
score.
would do such a thing. Question is, why would you agree to his plans?
Hadn't met you, and
I have needs, Adelaide.
yeah. Yeah, I just need a power regulator. That's basically it.
Cannery's got a regulator. You want ship parts, you ought to rip 'em out of the cannery's guts and leave us be.
I'm feeling convinced.
If you're going down to the plant, you should divert power away from Edgewater and
what a
toward our end of the
choice.
grid. Think about it. You'd be liberating an entire town from a lifetime of service to that odious cannery. Seems
do
the sort
hate
of thing
odious
a hero
canneries.
would do.
So I don't have to actually make the decision here. It's just
No.
sort of like,
Letting you start to see the
See, I like this option. See, I like how the character is kind of like, well, yeah, hero to you, but what about the people that I'm fucking over? You know, and it's the same thing, vice versa. But it's she's trying to sell it as, oh, this is hardcore, the good option. This is you're helping and saving people. But then I like how the game uses the character to kind of interpret that. How to put it? It's not up to the player to kind of interpret grayness or kind of to think, well, yeah, but we're still screwing other people over. Because I think a lot of players would come into this decision saying, okay, people here in the botanical area, good, corporation guys, bad. But by saying that the hero to you, actually then it's like I said, it uses the main character to give that sort of shades of gray to the story. I like that. It's subtle, but it's an interesting way of doing that.
the feelers of what you could be choosing soon.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, what is her history?
You've seen that miserable excuse for a town with your own lamps. Hollowed out workers laboring their lives away at the cannery, living off whatever scraps Spacer's choice throws them. You know that's true, don't you, Ms. Holcomb? Your father died of overwork. His heart gave out.
Aw.
He was tired all the time, sure, but he was old, ma'am, and he raised me all by his lonesome.
Look what they did to
I
this
love if I hadn't
child.
brought her along, I wouldn't
Lost
be
her family
seeing
to
that.
the
Exactly.
company,
Yeah.
and still she defends them.
Yeah, definitely based on the companions you bring with you. In addition to like helping with the skills you might have options for in conversations, they'll interject their own like opinions into the conversation,
Yeah.
and occasionally that will unlock different options on quests
Okay.
for you.
Love it.
That's great.
Who just tells somebody I'm leaving and just walks away?
To a halt. The cannery shuts down, workers desert in droves, and our own little camp
All right.
grows and thrives.
Interesting. So, yeah, I will consider
I
this.
trust you will listen to your conscience.
Don't tell me what my conscience thinks is right and wrong.
Didn't know what to expect coming here, but I didn't expect that. So,
Ooh, another. Oh, but you'd have to steal it.
oh, I did steal
And
it.
you just did it.
Oh,
Without
oh
a
God!
care in the world.
Don't tell anybody, Pavardi.
Parvati's like looking back and forth, like,
She's
"Ooh."
like, okay. All right, so
Sounds like we gotta head to the plant and just do the thing.
yeah. All right, so head back out. All right, so we're back. We did spend some skill points and get some perks for Mina, the character we were playing, but we actually decided to load up a different character since we're about to go into some heavy combat and check out some different weapons, which this is there's a
Fancy.
really good variety here. Yeah, so we got this bad boy here, which is
Ooh.
sort of an electric. Would you say this weapon was called?
Yeah, so this is an assault rifle that's been modded out so it can actually do
Oh, man.
shock damage, which is pretty good against different robots.
Okay, perfect. And I love just the design and like the intricate detail on it.
Yeah, this is actually that's a TNL assault rifle, which is a different brand in the game.
That's awesome. And this is we got a
You see, it's like they were saying. Like I like the design of that thing. Like you saw the wood engravings on it. There was the gold little plating. Again, it just I'm kind of hoping that we get to have some visual customization on the weapons and not just actual like modifying and whatnot. But it's a really cool looking gun. Again, it's like I was saying. It kind of gives me that Old West vibe while still being in space. Kind of like Cowboy Bebop, how that kind of have like a cowboy theme to it, but still in space.
ranged weapon here and can charge up, which I love that animation and sound effect.
Nice.
So we're gonna have some options here, and finally something a little bit more corrosive here. Oh man, I'm keeping this one out. This is totally my style.
And these are all things that if we had maybe taken the time to explore a little bit more, we might have stumbled upon. But we're sort of mainlining it.
Well, we would
Yeah.
have found the weapons. For this save, we have weapon modding in the game.
Oh, nice.
So you can find mods you can then apply to weapons and armor. So the assault rifle that's doing shock damage is actually one that we modified to be able to do that different damage type.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm just impressed by how much personality the weapons have just immediately, not just from like the design, but just, also the way that they fire. It just really feels like a corrosive, light machine gun. Does this mascot for Edgewater have a name? Is he just...
Basically he's the
That load
Space
screen
Force
was a little on the
mascot.
long side.
We call him the Moon Man, right?
Moon Man.
All right,
Yeah.
that works. If I needed some gear. Oh, I'm just so itching to use these. Hello!
Everyone all right?
We're doing just fine, Parvati.
Yeah, I want to actually try the...
Yeah, definitely. If you
electric,
switch to the shock assault rifle, you'll be able to see the difference, like using a damage type that they're weak against.
Okay, I think that was this one, right? Is that
Yes.
this one? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Oh. And maybe this is... Oh, yeah, terminals. Okay, great. I can unlock the door. And is unlocking the door just it's not a lock-picking skill, it's just a
In this case,
function.
no. Yeah, it
Yeah.
would take if you needed to use a skill, it would show you the skill requirement before the actual
Okay.
line.
This is where we're going to enter the passcode that Reed gave us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So then, of course, at the very top of the terminal, you have it's a Spacer's Choice branded. So
We tried the best. Now try, the
the
best.
rest. That's so good. Okay, so we're good. We're in. Let's get in there.
We may want to follow that objective marker first before we get too deep in there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we thought that
So,
was-
is that a right in here, or is
No, I think it's back
Go
up
back?
those
Okay.
stairs.
Thank you for the warning. I was getting pretty gung-ho there.
Processing data. Security.
Oh man, that's oh, look at that.
nice.
Yeah, that's very satisfying. And so when we were looking, when we previously leveled up and we were looking around at the perks, saw things to extend, the being able to slow down time or increase armor. And do you guys have any favorite armor perks or perks just for your character to level up?
Oh, I'm a big fan of the tactical time dilation system, so I
Okay.
try and pick a lot of the perks that affect that. There's also ones that just generally improve your movement speed, both
Okay.
running and just walking in general.
Okay.
So, which since all these areas I've played multiple times,
Yeah,
I
you-
was increase the speed so I can run through them and do my speed runs through the areas.
Cover a lot of ground. So this is basically what this quest has been building towards. It seems like we are confronted with the opportunity to actually redirect the power from either the botanical lab or from Edgewater.
Spacer's Choice handguns,
Okay.
body counts at a discount. That's adorable.
So the thing we'll see here is that we're trying to do that, but there's some malfunctions here.
Okay.
We've got to fix that first.
Yeah, we don't want the moderate to severe structural damage. All right, well, let's back out. See what we can do.
3 switches. That'll be easy enough.
Yeah.
How is redirecting the power an irreversible
All right.
situation?
Dive back into
Like, if you read that thing, it said, this is an irreversible action. How? Because if you were able to redirect it, why can't you just redirect it back? That doesn't make sense to me.
It feels so good. The sound design of these weapons is just awesome. I'll stay on task here with the waypoint.
One of the things you'll find also as you're playing through the game when you come to those terminals, a lot of times you'll find entries for logs or messages. Those are great ways. If you're a lore junkie like me, that's a
Oh,
great way
yeah.
to learn a lot of stuff about the world. So aim for that blue.
Oh, is that another weak point?
Yes.
Okay, great. Oh, Vardy
Going
seems
after
like
Pravati, yeah.
just drawing her fire. I'm gonna go for it. Ooh, that looked good.
So satisfying.
These things are hardy.
Oh, there's a new one.
See if I can zero in on that. Whoa.
Oh,
he took the bullet.
interception.
Bodyguard bot.
I'll save you, Mr.
That
President.
was that Secret Service dive in front of his
That's
friend.
good. Yeah. I love that that sort of dissolving
I was
animation.
gonna say, he's literally dust.
Yeah, that was doing plasma damage, so that will consume enemies.
Amazing.
I'm gonna keep mixing it up here.
Whoa. Playing Fallout, plasma criticals turn people into goo, not dust. Laser weapons turn things into goo. Or into
More
dust,
switches
words.
here.
Oh.
Branching paths. Stay on target.
Mind the steam. You're liable to get scalded.
Oh.
She knows her stuff. Careful.
Unexpected.
Oh yeah. Oh, we got more.
Yeah.
Up
Ow.
above. Oh, here we go.
There you go.
These are beefy weapons. Making very short work of these guys. I'll have to, when the game comes out, I'm gonna have to remember to scour for these.
Want to go.
Okay.
There's a lot to find.
All right, you're nearly there, Tim.
Yeah. Is this?
That's
Should
the
I continue this way?
Yeah.
Loop around. Okay, my bad.
Maybe go the other way? There is no other way.
There is no other way. Continue down here.
A little bit of exploration. There we go.
So this is the geothermal plant. So is it? We saw some volcanic activity. Is that sort of what we're looking at here, as far as how they actually power the area?
Oh yeah. So basically, this is the plant's been deriving energy from the volcanic activity.
Oh, okay.
Unexpected.
Switch to this bad boy here. Snap.
Got
Oh,
another
hello!
one. Just skated right past that guy.
Oh, we got a melee too, just for a quick hit.
Yes.
Nice.
And then to your right.
Oh god. All right. Oh, I see more blue things to shoot. Perfect. Oh, that actually really was
Mission.
effective.
The sound design is great.
Yeah. Yeah, melee not terrible against him. Yeah, it worked. Gosh, all the different reload animations and weapon animations are just awesome.
I agree with the guy who said the sound design is very well done. Again, it's just the reload sounds, the the firing sounds. Just I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff.
Click.
All right.
It looks like it did something. Cool. God, I just love all the colors. Like, any given, look at the screen is just like just a total kaleidoscope of colors. It's awesome.
You can tell you guys have put a lot of effort into this world building and all the set design.
We actually have a shortcut if you go out back the way you came.
Oh, this way?
Oh, no, back out the...
In here?
Yep.
Okay.
So
Love a
if you
good
go to
shortcut.
that door, it was actually sealed from the other side when you saw it, but now you
this
can
one.
get
Oh,
in.
now I can unbar it. Oh, I love that. Oh, delicious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Convenient. There we go.
Oh, okay, now we can actually interact with redirecting power, which is a big decision.
I
Like
know.
it
It
seems
is.
like maybe like the biggest decision early on in the Outer Worlds.
So yeah, definitely one of the things we were trying to do is, like,
Once we do this, there's
we're
no going
Obsidian.
back.
We try and make like morally gray, complex quests, and this is like kind of your first taste of that in the Outer Worlds, where
Is there an option where you just
Hey, mister?
take it and don't help anybody?
Look, I know you want your power.
well,
up
you
and
can
all,
definitely
I just
you always have a lot of options after you get the
you
regulator,
understand
and
what
your
you're about
provider's
to
got
do?
her opinion on the matter.
Oh man. Well, let's hear her out. This is a big decision.
I don't think you should cut off Edgewater's power. I think it would
Oh
be cool.
wow.
I'm sorry.
I would have thought
just
that
sort
would
of
have.
came out all at once.
She would have been maybe on the other
Edgewater's
side.
hurting. We've been losing workers year after year, and corporate hardly ever sends replacements. There's barely enough Saltuna to fill our bellies anymore.
Delicious.
But the town's got some good people in it. Decent, hardworking folk just living their lives the only way they know how. They don't deserve to be punished.
And that's her home too.
That's fair.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There's the other side of it.
Miss
See, I kind of wish they would have led this quest with that. Excuse me. As opposed to doing evil corporation, and then the nice grandma lady at the botanical gardens or whatever. I wish they would have led more with that and then said, they're really trying to push that moral grayness. I like that a lot more than just what it looked like of good and evil.
McDevitt's built something beautiful. Somehow she's talked the ground into giving life again. It's
Poetic.
plain to see she's made the Vale a better place. Fed the hungry, tended the sick. Gave a home to those that had none. But Miss McDevitt delights in Edgewater's suffering. She wants to hurt the town. Do you really want to be party to that kind of
That
hatred?
moral gray we're talking about. Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to babble on like that. I just
Legitimately don't
I felt
know.
like I
I
had to
felt
say
like I was so convinced going into this, and now that I've heard from her,
There's barely.
You've gone through the geothermal plant. You're at the point where you can make the choice, but you could always go back and talk to Reed and Adelaide more.
get to know her
and
more.
There are other options available for resolving this beyond what you've seen so far. Yes.
Really?
Interesting.
That's super exciting.
really? I mean, wow. Thanks.
Aw.
No one's ever told me those words.
Hey, well,
in that
You
order.
deserve
You got it,
it.
Pavard. Well, I think just as you were saying, I need to do some more soul searching and digging around in the world to figure out what my decision is going to be. But for now, I think we'll leave it to everyone else to sort of look forward to making that decision.
Absolutely.
So that's The Outer Worlds. It's going to be out on PlayStation 4 October 25th of this year. Brian, Matt, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having
This
us.
has been great.
I'm so excited. And thanks.
Like I said, October 25th. No, the game looks dope. It just looks absolutely fantastic. I love the world they've created. The character interactions look good. The combat looks smooth. I've been excited for this, and this just kind of pushed me even further into hype mode for this game. So hope you guys enjoyed this first little look at the Outer Worlds. I really have nothing else to talk to you guys about. No other announcements. I made them at the very beginning of the show. Thanks for watching. As always, social media, that is Facebook, Twitter, the website, minds.com. Links that is down in the description below. Like, comment, not already. Please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned more next time. Till then, my name's AJ Gells. This is Untitled Game Channel. I'm out.